Welcome to today's special episode of Sis
Get a Grip.
And today's episode is very special as our quarter episodes where we feature a woman of the quarter. And you guys already know what the woman of quarter embodies. It's a person that is, making impact in our society, somebody who we can kind of highlight as a person that the next generation can look up to. Yes. Today we have none other than Mrs. Yvonne Ogyri joining us in the building. And so, Miss Yvonne, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And you guys already know this is about to be a really juicy episode. Yes. So, before we even get into anything, don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
We know that you guys are watching this and not always subscribing. So, please, it would help us a whole bunch. If you go down, we can pause right now. Go hit that subscribe button down below. Just hit subscribe and just come back and join us. All right. I take it that you did it. Okay. So, Miss Yvonne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Ladies, if you don't know, my name is Yvonne, so thank you for calling me Yvonne and not Nana. I'm so sick of Nana, but I can understand why everybody called me Nana because I told them to call me that. But after a while, I kind of got over it and I said, call me by Nana. Yvonne, that's my real name. So I am 31 years old. I am from Ghana, West Africa. I came here at 7 years old with my mother. I'm currently, I'm a mother of a 4-year-old. I'm a nurse, and I'm also a founder for an organization, which I guess we'll talk about it soon. Yes. And yeah, there's so much going on with my life right now, and I just thank God for this moment.
Yes, we're going to get into her life too.
Yes. Going to be deep.
How deep?
No. As deep as you want it to be.
So, as Stacy started off, thank you for joining us. We're truly grateful, and we're just gonna start. I know you just mentioned that you are a nurse. Can you let us know what led you into the health field, any struggles, just tell us about that path and how you got there.
Well, interesting enough, I was watching the Floyd case yesterday, and then I was talking to my fiance. I was like, oh my God, I remember I wanted to be a lawyer when I was younger. And of course, one day my brother told me that, oh, you're going to be a lawyer. They're going to face you upside down when you die in a coffin. And I was like, what? So ever since then,
What?
That's what my brother told me. Yeah, it's like a thing where it's like you judge people all your lives or whatever, you told lies. So because of that, as a result, they're going to face you flat down your coffin, and everyone was listening to me like, wait, what? And you actually care about how you are positioned in the coffin.
You want to be comfortable now.
Right.
I agree. That's
Isn't your goal to get to heaven?
Right now, I don't care, of course, but 13-year-old me, I was so fearful. I said, oh my God, no, I'm no longer going to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer. So because it's the silliest thing ever. So that's what big brothers do. They scare the light out of you. And of course, I said I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. So then I got an internship at a pediatrics clinic, and from there, watching my doctor, I said, you know what, I want to be a doctor. And then I went to, do the research on the education that it takes to become a doctor, and then that discouraged me. I was like, to be honest,
that's real. College alone is real.
Like, I am not doing this. So then I looked at other similar careers that popped up, and then nursing popped up, and I was like, wow, this sounds like something I would like to do. I love caring for people. I like having the patient, nurse interaction. It's more beautiful than anything in the world, more than just even the clinical aspect, because anybody could be taught how to, give medications and how to do all these things, but to actually know that it's your calling to do something else, then that will actually help the patient in the process of healing. It's everything for me. So
I have a follow-up question with that, because I personally, before I figured out what I want to do, and Stacy and my husband can attest to this, every few months I'm just like, is this my calling? Is this my purpose? And you just mentioned the phrase calling, how did you know this was your calling?
Good one.
Well, yeah, that is a good question.
I just need the advice myself too, though.
I feel like I'm at peace with it, and anything that you feel at peace, and for me, I feel like personally, anything that makes you feel at peace, that's your calling, because everything else didn't give me that peace of mind. It just made me feel like, oh, I'm gonna do it because this and that. Because granted, even being a doctor, you're gonna make 3 times or 4 times as much as a nurse, So if the money obviously didn't move me, it didn't give me the peace, right? So of course, like I said, like the interaction and knowing that I'm so, I have a great impact on my patients' lives. That's when I knew that it was my calling. So
okay, yeah. And my last juicy, it's not really juicy. I'm just nosy. Like, what kind of nurse are you? Because I'm learning there are different nurses pertaining to like different departments. That's the best word I can think of. So what kind of nurse are you, if you don't mind sharing?
I'm an oncology nurse. So oncology nurses are nurses who take care of cancer patients.
Okay.
Believe it or not, it's been like a great journey, but then I feel like I'm at a point in time where it's my time to move forward and do something else. Not because I want to be versatile, like how some people are like, oh, you should do a little bit of this. I don't believe in that, of like, where everybody believes you should do a little bit of everything. No, not everything is good for you, right? And not everything may be good for you at a certain point in time. But I feel like now is my time to move forward and, venture out into something else other than bedside nursing, because it's very stressful. It takes a toll of your mental, it takes a toll of your physical. It's just really stressful after a while. Some people are good, they do it for 30 years, but like we were talking about calling, that may be their calling, But for me, I feel like it's time to venture out into a different type of nursing. There's so many more, that we can do. So.
Okay.
I love it. Good answer. I did have a question that popped up for me, and it was, I know you mentioned that you came here at the age of 7. Is there was there like a major shift, like maybe like we prefer better?
Wait, do you mean what?
Being raised in Ghana or coming here?
Of course, at 7, being here was like 10 times better than being in Ghana. I felt like when I first came here, I thought like here was like heaven. I thought it was like a dreamland. Like it was like Disney World to me, It was like the best thing ever happened to my life.
Then you grew up and your eyes
Then I grew up and I was like, maybe Ghana's not so bad after all.
Yeah. So actually, now that we mentioned like the difference between like growing up in Ghana and growing up in America, I have a question that I've actually been struggling with. Like, would you ever raise your daughter in Ghana, or would you continue to raise her up here?
It's very interesting. I always said, because now like with my fiance and I, we have like a different outlook, especially him with him spending like so much time in Ghana now, because he's into like venturing out, doing business and stuff with his travel company and stuff.
One Travel Club, that's where I get all my tickets from. Just throwing that in there.
Plug.
He's really good.
With him doing that now, he's more like I don't mind living in Ghana. I don't mind, and I'm kind of like, I don't mind living in Ghana with every aspect, with exception of health, and everything else is great. But I just feel like whenever health becomes like a factor, I have to really think about it. So I don't think, because of that, I don't think I would raise her in Ghana. I do think like our parents did a great job raising us, but I don't think I could raise her in Ghana. I need her here because of health. I feel like health is like a priority, and then everything else follows. Because if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. So that's the reason why.
Okay.
That's a common theme. I've actually heard that a lot. Like health is really a big determining factor of whether or not somebody wants to live in Ghana.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our next question, right? I know that Ghana is somewhere that is near and dear to you, being that you were raised there a little bit. I know that you have a project going on, Colors of Africa. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So, yes, with Colors of Africa, one day I was just sitting there and I said, wait, I've always wanted to be a helper. I always wanted to do things for the community. Then I was kind of like battling between doing something here, right? And I spoke to my best friend and we were thinking about like doing some type of like awareness, bringing it to the church, health awareness, and bringing it to all the churches and, going from church to church and doing like certain projects or whatever it is that we'll do to to raise awareness for like, you know, breast cancer, whatever it may be, diabetes or whatever that's hurting our community. And some of us are very ignorant, right, when it comes to that, including myself sometimes. And then I said, no, I mean, not for nothing, like over here, there's so many awarenesses going on, right? We have every month there's something going on. Yes, our doctors are responsible, nurses are responsible for educating us, right? Even though sometimes that's a large missing factor that happens. But I felt like Ghana needed me more. And so basically, Colors of Africa, we aim to prevent preventable illnesses, right? Like illnesses that can be modifiable, right? Like things that basically we can change our diet, we can, you know, change our hygiene, we can change our ways of thinking or whatever it may be, so that we could prevent those type of illnesses. So that's why I decided to do it in Ghana. But it's not really just a Ghanaian thing, it's the whole entire Africa. But of course, I'm gonna start with my country. I'm gonna be selfish and start with my country because I see what's in front of me, right? So I wanna fix fix whatever it is we could fix. Of course, we're not gonna fix everything, but even like the local areas, right? Start with the local areas, and then from there branch out to like a more bigger thing. So I just hope everything works out. But we've done like a few projects so far. Last 2 years prior to COVID, we were able to educate kids in orphanages on the importance of hygiene, right? And interesting enough, that the following, I think the following couple of months or whatever, when we came back from Ghana, that's when COVID hit. So I was just like, oh my goodness, like we gave them sanitizers, we taught them the importance of hand washing and all these things. I was like, wow, so that's a really like big deal. And I felt so good and at peace. And I was sitting there, I'm like, wow, like we gave away all these sanitizers. Now there's none in the store. I couldn't even find any for myself. You know? But yeah, that was one project we did. And then we also did a child hunger awareness, which was a couple of months ago, where a lot of people donated. Thank you so much to everybody who donated. Like it went a whole long way. We were able to package meals and give it out to a lot of orphanages. And the reason why I keep saying orphanages is because it seems like they're the ones who need us the most, and a lot of attention is not being given to them. And I feel like sometimes people just come and they donate money, and then the money is not being used properly.
Yes, I've seen that.
So yeah.
So I think it's actually very interesting that you mentioned nutrition. So Stacey knows I'm going through this thing where I'm not trying to be too big while I'm pregnant. So I actually have a nutritionist, and every week when I check in with her, she lets me I have a diary log of what I've been eating. And funny enough, a lot of the traditional foods, what she would call traditional foods, it's actually not really healthy.
Really?
Yeah, so like palm oil, for example. I love a good spinach.
Oh, it's not good.
No,
really?
It's filled with saturated
fat.
It's filled with saturated fat. So the fact that you said nutrition in Ghana, like granted, we're in Ghana and like most tropical or African countries, we're privileged to have like a garden in our backyard, but the truth is like a lot of the stuff sometimes are not healthy. So I didn't know, because I asked Stacey, I could come to the house and I could eat shito like for the fun of it, right? And shito has a lot of fat in it. So
because they use shrimps, like
they use shrimp and a lot of oil. So like it's funny that you brought up nutrition, because it made me think of like my conversation with her. And I think like as a culture, we don't know that, but not to say American food is that healthy either, but it's funny that you just brought up nutrition. I just wanted to throw that in there, because sometimes I think we get so caught up with the idea that we're eating something green, like spinach, but forgetting that what we're adding to make the spinach taste good is actually not the healthiest thing.
I mean, you can always use regular oil. You don't need to use palm oil to make spinach.
Well, that's also true, but I don't.
I know palm oil is not the greatest, but what I do is that I reserve things that are not healthy for like certain things that I know like I can't go without. Like for instance, like I need palm oil when I'm eating my my beans, like my cocoa and beans. That's really important for me.
Did you know cocoa had sugar in it?
Oh, I know these things.
Oh,
but
yes.
I have to eat these foods. It's just that like you just have to find a moderation and a balance, because come on, I don't know. Even organic foods are kind of like not really organic.
But I think you should, like, as part of your nutrition program, just throwing that out there, like, also teach proportion, like eating in portions, and like also what you just said, when it's time to eat certain things, maybe like certain dishes have to have the palm oil, but like the bean stew, but maybe spinach stew, you don't have to use the palm oil. Those kind of things.
What
but
is spinach
which
stew
I agree.
without palm oil?
Really, I don't really like spinach stew with palm oil. Interesting.
Collard greens are actually healthy. When
They are.
Yes.
Not when you put the palm oil in there, right?
No. I just want to throw that out there because I thought it was interesting that you educate people in nutrition. And here am I sitting in America not knowing that like what I'm putting in my body is also not the healthiest. So
and those things are super useful because, like she said, that we live in a culture where we think we got it going on. My mother would be the first one to be like, yeah, it's
better.
my mom too, don't worry.
But believe it or not, it might be a draw, because I mean, my grandma lived to see like 98, and she's been eating. She's never had any French fries. She's never had anything else but Ghanaian food. You know,
and
so
she eats palm oil, right?
and she eats palm oil.
Good.
No, not that much though.
Yeah, like I could have it every day.
Really?
Yeah,
every
I could
day?
eat spinach every day. Like
Right, because you're looking at the spinach aspect. Like, wow, I'm getting my potassium, I'm getting this, but then you're just like taking it away.
The nutritionist like, no, palm oil is not good. It's like, what do you mean? She's like, no, it's not good. But
so tell me this. What about sardine oil? Because now you guys are getting me mad.
so she says anything that's wild caught. So your sardines are good. She eats wild caught sardines, organic sardines.
But is it like in a can?
Yeah.
Because the fact that it's in the can that alone is like a bad thing. So,
yes.
you know, like I said,
It's
balance.
processed.
After you eat that, you just have like a little spinach without palm oil on the side.
That's good. I love that.
You have to eat, but you have to have moderation.
That is true.
I'm
That's why education is so important in programs like what Colors of Africa is doing. It's so important. So thank you for thinking of that.
Yeah,
And I was just sitting there and the idea came to mind. That's beautiful.
Well, it's not just my idea, of course. Like I have a team, right? And other people, you know, they throw in their input and it's like all collectively becomes like a big phenomenon. So,
So before we jump on to the next portion, I'm just curious, what is next for Colors of Africa?
Right now, we wanted to branch into like the other countries, but we're kind of like, you know, just on reserve right now because of COVID. We don't know how to. It's hard to even network, you know, in this time that we're in. So we're just trying to like keep it in Ghana for now. But we want to, like I said, like we want to maintain nutrition because that's the biggest thing that for me that I believe, like when doing research, nutrition and hygiene. Yeah, that's like the biggest thing because if you look at like the top 5 causes of illnesses, a lot of them have to do with things that are like you know, like water-based, you know, like the diarrhea infections because of like our water, you know, our poor water, and also food, you know. So that's my biggest thing right now. We don't have like a set next project right now because of, you know, of course, everything that's going on. A lot of my team members who are really busy, some of them are getting married, some of them doing this and this, so it's just like,
she's also getting married,
and I'm one of them too. So yes. Multitasking is not my friend, even though I find myself doing it and not realizing it, and sometimes I just have to sit down and be like, okay, this is not your friend. You don't multitask, one thing at a time. So
respectable. So we're gonna jump into the relationship segment of this, and you know, I love your fiance. He's by far like maybe one of the most humblest people I've met. He's also really quiet, but any of these questions doesn't have to be about him. This is just general questions in general. So the first question is like, what is
That's interesting because you were saying the same thing about your mom like 3 days ago because your mom called him, right?
Oh yeah. He's our family travel agent.
She's like, give these comments so calm, and she always be like that. I'm like, yes. She's like, she seems pretty humble. I'm like, yeah.
It's funny because she said that about him, and she's just like, oh, this is my new friend. I was like, slow down. That's my friend. Slow down.
He's like, oh, I see where Gifty gets that from. Her humble and kind. So it's interesting to say the same thing about her.
I'm going to tell her that. Actually, I'm not, because she'll get too gassed.
No.
That's also true. All right, so now we're going to jump into the relationship portion of this interview. And the first question we have is, what is the biggest lesson you've taken from a relationship?
For me, I feel like you have to know your purpose, right? The reason why you're together, the reason why you want to be together, and that would alone make you want to work harder to sustain your relationship, to better your relationship, and so forth. So for me, I believe knowing your purpose is a great thing. Just like how you want to know your purpose while you're alive, right? You also have to know your purpose being with somebody. What is it that you guys can attain together? And if you do attain it, what kind of fulfillment will it give you, right? And how will God bless your relationship, and how does it honor Him and whatnot? So for me, a couple of probably like last year during like marriage counseling, right? We were asked that question, like, what is your purpose together, right? And I was like, oh, I mean, I always kind of thought I knew it. Then we both had to sit down, right? And then ask each other, like, what is our purpose together? We're like, oh. And so I answered it, and he answered. He said, wait, that's my answer too. But we never had that conversation, right? So I believe my purpose, I'm just going to share it, is to break generational curses, right? And he's like, me too. And I was like, wait, what? Really? But we never ever, like, he's like, I guess, the way we worded it, we never thought that, like, that was what it really was, right? So whether it's breaking generational curses, like, gaining financial freedom, doing things that our parents previously have done that has caused stagnancy, or has caused a lot of it has caused financial distress.
So how do you manage being a wife, a mom? Like, you just seem like you got it going on, being like, you just very well rounded. How do you manage everything, and on top of that, being like a professional?
That's a good question. Well, at least thank you for seeing me that way, but in reality, it's not as easy as it looks or whatever. I just make it look that way because that's the only way to keep my sanity and to, also just keep moving or whatever. But for me, I feel like a lot of it has to do with support system. I utilize my support system. I suck every juice out of them that I can get. From day one, since my daughter was born, I had my mother, who's very hands-on, even though she works, as a full-time health professional too. She's very hands-on on her off days when she comes home from work, because I was living with my mom for some time on purpose so that I can get that help as well. And my sister as well, she is so hands-on with my daughter. They're like the best of friends. She's so caring. She literally makes sure, because I used to work night shift up until probably 2 months ago. So when I get home from work, they kind of take matters into their own hands to do everything, so I utilize my support system like crazy. And her father is very hands-on too. A lot of dads, sometimes they don't want to do certain things, especially when it's a daughter, they have a daughter. But with him, he's so hands-on. He will bathe her, he will do whatever it is he has to do. So it's very, very important to use your support system, very much. Yeah.
Shout out to the girl dads. Right?
Yeah, girl dads.
They're doing it. What do you see now in society when it comes to relationships that was different from when we were growing up, whether good or bad?
Well, two things. Social media, I feel like it's so great, right? Of course, using this platform, right? As an example, you guys are, doing amazing, and social media has been a great impact, right? And, promoting and so forth. But when it comes to relationships, a lot of people, are putting out a lot of their business out on social media. A lot of people are using it as a journal, right?
Wow.
And
it's a journal.
yeah, it's a journal. They go and voice out all these things. They put certain music that's expressing how they feel in a relationship, and that's also causing a lot of detrimental factor, right, in their relationships. And when we were younger, we didn't have that, right? We used to be able to talk things out, right, more. We used to be able to not have people read our minds or just go on our Instagram and say, let me see if they still have my pictures on there, and let me see if we still,
so true.
So that's a big factor. I also believe that us versus our parents, or us versus, let's say, the generation before us. Who's that generation? Whatever. I don't remember. The ones before us, maybe those who were in their 40s or whatever. I feel like with us, we have more we are able to balance things out more, right? Previously, the question that you asked me about the support system, another man will probably look at it wait, what? Her dad does that? No, I don't have to do that, whatever. But we do what works for us. Yes. And it's very important because a lot of us do come from broken homes, and we are also willing to put in so much effort so we don't have to repeat the same mistakes that our parents went through. We desire even more, you know, and because of that, I feel like we have to find a way to balance things out. It's not like, oh, you know, this person work. Listen, we all work, right? Yeah. The guys work, the women work, we all professionals, so we all tired and we all have to take care of the children and so forth. So I feel like there's more communication going on, right? If you want it, whatever you desire, you can actually do it. So that's a big difference between, you know, like you said previously and now when it comes to relationships.
I think it's good that you brought that up, because I think a lot of us, and I say us in the sense of like, at least in the Ghanaian community, speaking to what I know, like we try to replicate what we thought are good marriages, not knowing what our parents like went through behind the scenes. So like to say like do what works for your marriage, your relationship, I think is very like useful to hear, because in our household too, like the husband is like, he does everything that I can't do at this point. Like, and a lot of men will actually say like, oh, well, that's not his job. But for him, it's just like, my job is to take care of my child, so then it becomes my job. So I think like, that's a good message to preach, because it's like people don't hear that often.
Yeah, it's important, because even like, you know, certain things that like in the household, like certain household chores, like, you know, you just designated for the guy to do, you know, but we don't do that. We don't do like this whole designation. I mean, when it comes, it's kind of like do whatever you're good at doing, right? Yeah. And then pick up the other slacks when the other person is unable to do it, or if they ask, right? True. Because I feel like what makes that more like important is because we all have more goals that goes beyond our 9 to 5 or whatever it is that we want to do. Aside from that, we want to do things that are more, you know. Because of in order to achieve that, we have to be able to work together and to help each other balance out mentally, physically, financially, everything.
I love it. See why she's the woman of the quarter. Nothing but gems. So we're gonna jump into our next and final question, and that's just sort of asking her about any advice she would have for the youth that are watching us. Our page is based on like women empowering women, so any advice you can give, or for people that are coming up, young women that are growing into women or looking into just being in a relationship someday, what are some advice that you would give or things you wish you'd known to kind of pass down?
I think that, you know, our parents have a lot of influence on us. Growing up, I used to just kind of hated advice from my mom. You know, I just always thought like, oh my God, like shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, what is she talking about, you know? But a lot of like growing up now, I'm realizing that like I'm taking a lot of advice that my mom has given me that I was neglecting, right? And I'm like, wow, like what she said was a very point. This lady is really smart. Like, you know, I told my mom like not so long, I'm like, Mom, you're not smart. You're like, you know, just what
did she say?
She's just like, oh, I know that. But yeah, like there's so many things that I feel like we missed, right, growing up, because we were being arrogant, we were being teenagers. It's normal, you know, and it's okay. But I just feel like we have so much impact and more, I feel like we have more, I don't know how to explain it, like more opportunity to connect with our younger generation, because they are the ones looking up to us, right? Or at least for now, they think we're cool up until maybe a certain point. They're like, all right, guys, you know, I just want us to be more patient. Well, the next generation, right? Be more patient, be more kind to one another, know the things that you put out, right? Especially on social media. I've heard things that people are doing and like hurting people and things like that, because it goes so far, you know. There's people committing suicide, doing all these things, and you don't know that even a little gossip could reach somebody and it could cause their whole entire day to be ruined. Just continue to, you know, utilize the support system, like I said earlier, and know your purpose in life and go after it. Like, you have to know your purpose. And even if you don't know it, it's gonna be, you know, some people it take them a while, right, to know your purpose. But pray about it. Listen to, you know, old people and the advice is very important, and it takes us a long way, I promise you. And just
I love that.
Keep going.
Well, that is actually going to wrap it for our Woman of the Quarter episode. Once again, we just want to thank, I'm joking. Let's do that. We just want to thank Mrs. Yvonne Ogyri for blessing us with her presence. Yes. As we said, like, the Woman of the Quarter is someone who we believe is just embodies Black girl magic. Like, and I think that is what she does, and she does it so gracefully. So, like, I feel like you're one of those people who don't need acknowledgement for what they're doing, and they will continue to do it. So we just want to thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the upcoming nuptials. And once again, this is our beautiful Moon of the Quarter. This is Nana. Oh, that was my person. This is Yvonne Ogyri.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it for you guys having me. Keep going. Sis, get a grip. Period.
Yes, Pooh.
That is going to wrap it for today's episode of Sis, Get a Grip.
Get a grip.